Just realized that I wasn't on mic, so my apologies. Just to reiterate for the people watching online, it's Thursday, August 27th, 2026. I'm calling the Salem Area Mass Transit District Board of Directors meeting to order. Will the clerk of the board please note attendance for quorum?
So noted.
Thank you very much. And that brings us to our safety minute. Our interim general manager, Trimble.
Thank you, President Hinojosa Presi. I'd like to call up our Safety and Training Administrator, Legine Stoudemire, to deliver the safety moment.
Greetings, members of the board, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I would also like to welcome everyone joining us publicly as well. I'd like to take a brief moment to share a simple end of the summer safety reminder, something useful for all of us to use at home. As families settle back into school routines, packing lunches, morning drop-offs, practices, and earlier bedtimes, it's a good time to remember that safety isn't just part of our workday. It's part of how we support our families before the day begins. Late summer can bring warm days, smoky air, or questions about water quality. For most people, these are small things. For children, older adults, and anyone with health needs, they can matter a little bit more. The reminder is, take 1 minute out of your day before the day gets busy. Check local updates for smoke, heat, or water concerns. Current information is available through Salem Water Quality Updates at cityofsalem.net, Oregon DEQ Air Quality at oregon.gov/DEQ, the National Weather Service at weather.gov, and Oregon Wildfire Smoke Updates at oregonsmoke.org. Pack water for the day and remind kids and adults to stay hydrated. Check in on family members, neighbors, or anyone who may need extra support. If you're out and someone starts coughing, seems unusually tired, has a headache, or needs a break from heat or smoke, it's okay to pause and move indoors. The goal is simple: be ready, pay attention, and take care of each other. The key points are check the local updates when heat, smoke, or water concerns come up, and make hydration part of the daily routine. A quick check-in before the day starts can help families feel prepared, supported, and ready for what's ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Important reminder.
Appreciate that.
Okay. Announcements and or changes to the agenda. I don't believe we have any. Nope. Okay. No presentations, and this moves us right into our public comment portion of the evening. As a reminder, we provide this time for members of the public to comment on matters of the transit district. Do we have anyone in person, online, on the phone? Good vibes through the air. Okay. All right, so that brings us to our consent calendar. Is there any items that a member of the board would like to pull from the consent calendar? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
And I think we have Director Holstro online. I don't know if I heard you come off mute. Okay. Abstentions?
He chatted.
Okay, all right. Communicated through the chat in agreement. Now into our action items. Authorized contract with Swiftly for APC data cleansing and analytics platform. Interim General Manager Trimble.
Thank you, President Hinojosa Presi. I'd like to call up Chief Planning and Development Officer Shofi Ul-Azim to present the report.
Good evening, President Hinojosa Presi and other Board of Directors. I'm here to present the contract extension with Swiftly for APC data cleansing and analytic platforms Just to provide some context, in 2025, we have implemented a pilot with Swiftly to clean up our APC data. And after a successful implementation of that pilot, we were able to produce accurate and reliable stop level data system-wide for both local and regional. Following that, Swiftly platform also provides a dynamic dashboard that enables our staff to monitor the ridership system-wide by route, time of day, and also evaluate route performance. And also, we can make data-driven decisions from using that platform. Just to remind, this platform is not only cleaning up the data, but also helping us to analyze the data. So all of those is in our fingertips, so we can analyze everything without being needed to download anything and having any spreadsheets. So just run the inquiry, you have the results ready. We have extensively used this platform for our ongoing comprehensive operations analysis and also microtransit study that we are conducting right now. And also, we have been using this, and we will be using this for our new bus stop improvement program. And this will, as I said, save significant amount of staff time to prioritize which bus stops needs amenities and what kind of amenities and why. So with that being said, and also it has another benefit, and this is the only way to track APC's health, hardware health. So those are all the good stuff in there, and as part of this agreement, we'd like to get our NTD certification through that as well. So this cleansing process and the reliable data will help us to get through the NTD certification, which will help us to get rid of a lot of those manual data processing and data collection process. And the current Swiftly agreement will expire September 16, 2026. To avoid any interruption of the service, staff recommends entering into a 3-year contract. Originally, we have used NASPRO Value Point Cooperative Purchasing Agreement for the first 1-year pilot. And we are recommending to use the same agreement because it satisfied all the public procurement requirements, and including the FTA. The financial impact, total contract value shall not exceed $300,000 over the next 3-year term, and funding is included in the board-adopted FY27 district budget. Staff recommends that the board authorize the interim general manager to execute a 3-year contract with Swiftly Incorporation, utilizing the NASPRO Value Point Cooperative Purchasing Agreement in an amount not to exceed $300,000 that includes $26,137 of contingency. I'll be happy to answer any question if you have.
Wonderful. Any questions from the board? Director Davidson.
Thank you, President. I got a couple of questions here. The first being, I was hoping you could tell me what, oh no, where to go? NASPO, NASPO. What's NASPO stand for?
It's a state-based agreement.
Oh, it is a state, it is, okay.
It is a state-based agreement, has different vendors, and NASPRO is one of them.
Okay, so, okay, great. And then the NTD reporting certification, so I'm inferring that once we get that, our NTD reporting that we do on like ridership numbers would almost be automated, that there would be a lot less staff time having to go into those regular reporting that we're doing to the FTA. Is that accurate?
Yes, and also reduction of some survey that we do, onboarding survey, so we don't need to do those anymore.
Wow, okay.
Yep.
So not only would it help our internal operations, it also helps
Cost
us meet
savings.
federal requirements
Yes.
in a cheaper, more expeditious manner.
Yes.
Okay, great, wonderful, thank you.
Yes, Director Carney.
Thank you, President Hinojosa Presi. I believe you gave us a presentation on this and kind of how it worked in a work session. And I'm not sure I'm remembering or not remembering, is there an artificial intelligence and AI aspect to the sort of evaluation and sort of data availability in the dynamic dashboards?
I think we use, to some extent, historical knowledge, and we store that, and that helps us to predict the behavior. If you say that's AI, we do use some of those, but I don't believe like some tools, like not for APC, some other kind of like tools, you can just type, write, or generate report, use this, and then they can generate report for you for other software solutions, not particular APC. But I don't think we have that kind of AI or voice command AI, but it has, but we do use machine learning algorithm, if it makes sense to you. So it tracks all the historical behavior for each stop, so that way it also validates, like if one stop suddenly has 5,000 ridership in a single day, that's how the system knows something is off, because they look at last 365 days of behavior and pattern, like then it triggers something is off. So that's how we know that something needs to be rectified. So yes, we do use some of those in machine learning form, yes.
It sounds a little bit more to me like a predictive modeling with some selective trimming to help the data make sense versus like, hey, Claude, can you tell me how to make
Yes,
$1
not
million
like voice
in the next
control or not
6 months?
not like that, but it does back end stuff to make sure that the data are accurate.
Okay, that's helpful, thank you.
Any other questions? Looking online, I'm not seeing any. Okay. In that case, I move that the board authorize the interim general manager to execute a contract with Swiftly for automated passenger counter data cleansing and analytics services through the NASPO Value Point Cooperative Purchasing Agreement for a 3-year contract amount not to exceed $300,000. That includes $26,137 of contingency.
I'll second.
Any discussion on the motion? I think the only thing I'll say is that I'm very excited that this is a tool that exists. All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously by
Thank
all
you.
those present.
For the record, President Hinojosa Presi, Bill is having problems speaking, so he's putting his votes in here.
Yeah, I saw the little boop.
Do we need to note his vote verbally?
You can note it.
Okay, we will note that Director Holmstrom voted in the affirmative through the chat.
Thank you.
Yay, hybrid meetings. Okay, next is authorize change order to Mott McDonald contract, interim general manager.
Thank you, President Hinojosa Presi. This contract modification will be presented by our grant and project administrator, Matt Marquez. We'll ask him to step forward.
All right. Good evening, President Hinojosa Presi and members of the board. I'm here to request that the board approve a change order to increase the not-to-exceed amount for contract number 22-023. Cherriots entered into this contract with Mott McDonald LLC for engineering services in October 2022 after conducting a competitive solicitation. The contract provides the district with access to engineering expertise for projects that require specialized technical analysis, design development, preparation of construction documents, cost estimating, and engineering assistance. Having a task order-based contract like this allows the district to carry out engineering work in a timely manner without having to conduct a new solicitation each time the need arises. The proposed change order would increase the contract's not-to-exceed amount to provide sufficient capacity for upcoming engineering task orders. Some upcoming projects that staff expects to use this contract for are the Del Webb fuel tank replacement project, the bus stop accessibility improvement project, and the Downtown Transit Center battery electric bus weight analysis. I do want to highlight that the revised not-to-exceed amount represents the maximum aggregate value that may be authorized under this contract and does not constitute immediate expenditure and does not guarantee that the whole contract amount will be used. So with that, staff does recommend that the board authorize the interim general manager to execute a change order to contract number 22-023 for engineering services with Mott McDonald LLC, increasing the contract's not-to-exceed amount by $600,000 from $480,060 to $1,080,060. Thank you. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Do we have questions from the board? Director Davidson.
Thank you, President. So I generally like having these kinds of contracts. I guess I just have questions about how they operate and how the board is involved in oversight. So as you mentioned, Administrator Marquez, one of the benefits of this is that you don't have to go through a long procurement for each and every one of these contracts, and that you have engineering expertise on call basically to help more quickly. And it allows our agency not to have that engineering expertise in the agency when we don't need that full time. What I guess I don't understand is, by authorizing this contract, are we then giving the interim general manager the authority to contract with Mott McDonald for that not to exceed amount for only the upcoming projects listed in here? Or is it any conceivable project? Because there's a spectrum, right, where you want nimbleness, but you also want oversight. And so help me understand, where on this spectrum are we falling?
Yeah, so the not to exceed increase would apply to any new engineering task order. It would go beyond these 3 projects I highlighted. It would be for any engineering need that the district had up until the contract's expiration.
Okay, so it's only these 3 projects?
No, not correct.
Not correct, okay.
So can I, if
Yeah,
I may?
please.
So the projects that are listed
Yeah.
are probably 3 of our larger projects that we're working on,
Yes.
more of a sample. This gives us the ability, and we've done this with other contracts, to move quite expeditiously when we need the engineering help. And there are projects that sort of come about fiscal year over fiscal year, like the weight analysis, for
Yeah.
example, that we did not plan for. So by increasing the amount of the contract, it allows us to be able to do that more expeditiously.
Okay. Okay, I guess I would love maybe updates on particularly the bigger ticket items. And I think we generally do get those updates.
May I make another suggestion?
Please.
So we could certainly, any expenditure over $50,000, $75,000, $100,000, we
Yeah.
could bring as an FYI to this board so that there's transparency, if that's something you all are amenable to.
Yeah, I think I'd be comfortable even with like 100,000, 200,000 even, because I don't want to be getting in your all's business.
Sure.
I just want to get in a little bit of your business, right?
We can certainly do that, Director Davidson.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Be reasonable about it.
Exactly, yeah. My fiduciary and statutory responsibilities, right? Okay, thank you.
In a similar vein, could you just remind us, so the base term of the contract was from November 2022 to October 31st, 2025 for 3 years, and the base contract was under $500,000. Did that base contract include these projects already, or is the reason why this renewal is increasing so much is because we're adding these projects?
So the contract actually doesn't have any specific projects attached to it. It's a task order-based engineering contract. So when we have an engineering need arise, we approach Mott McDonald, and they produce a task order proposal to complete that work for us.
Okay, so just previously, it was like just any engineering need and at just under $500,000, but is it, I guess I'm just wondering, why did it increase so significantly?
So the caveat to that, yes, that is correct. But in determining the price that we were going to look at the contract, we did have projects in mind. South Salem Transit Center, potentially East Salem Transit Center, and other things that I'm not remembering from 3 years ago. So that was the basis of the initial costs that we had. So as I've stated before, we need more now, obviously, for the South Salem Transit Center, East Salem Transit Center is coming along, and myriad other things. So this, again, does give us the opportunity to move relatively quickly. But like I said, we will certainly keep this board informed with those large expenditures.
Okay, wonderful. Yes, Director Carney.
I just have a comment on the staff report itself, based on what you were just sharing about some of the work they've already done. It would be nice if we're renewing this in a year, to also see some of the big work they have accomplished, so that we can kind of tie it all together.
We can absolutely do that, Director Carney.
Okay. Any further questions? Okay. Yes, Director Duncan,
I'd like to make a motion.
go ahead.
I move that the board authorize the interim general manager to execute a change order to contract number 22-023 with Mac McDonald LLC, increasing the contract's not to exceed amount by $600,000 from $480,060 to $1,080,060.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on the motion? No? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 I'm noting that Director Holmstrom indicated in the affirmative in the chat. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. I do want to say that I really had like a missed opportunity to point at my Albuquerque rapid transit sticker for you.
I'm just doing my part.
And for people that can't see it, it just says stay in your lane. Okay. Next is informational reports, fiscal year 26 Q4 strategic plan report, interim general manager Trimble.
So I'd like to call up Bobby Kidd, our interim marketing manager, to deliver the report. Bobby?
All right. Good evening, President Hinojosa Presi and members of the board. I'm here to discuss and update all of you on Q4 progress on the strategic work plan for fiscal year 26. And that's going to be the first part of the presentation. And then we are going to get into the kickoff of the fiscal year 27 strategic work plan. And then I will go into next steps. So as always, I like to begin with our guiding principles, our vision, mission, and values. These are what we do at Cherriots on the daily and how we show up. This is the cover of our fiscal year 26 strategic work plan, which again is the first part of the presentation. These are our 9 strategic organizational goals, divvied up into 4 success outcomes. We have community value, customer satisfaction, culture of ownership. Success outcomes, community value, customer satisfaction, culture of ownership, and financial sustainability. Trying to see. Okay, so these are goals for fiscal year 26. We did not meet our goal for community value. We did not reach the goal of 84, but we did exceed for our customer satisfaction net promoter score. We exceeded in regards to our culture of ownership score, and financial sustainability, we met our goals. So these are the 9 organizational goals that are divvied up within those 4 success buckets. There are 9 total. All right, and then I always like to highlight an organizational goal owner, and today it's me. And so I am here to discuss an update on the Climate Action Plan. So as you remember, in September, the Board of Directors adopted the Climate Action Plan. And the goal for this year was not only to get it adopted, but also begin implementation. And so what we did this past spring is we started a steering committee to actually start work on the strategies. So we established a steering committee, and it is a robust group representing marketing communications, transportation, maintenance facilities, planning and development, commuter options, project management office, customer service, and security and emergency management. So wanted to represent a lot of the organization. And then the group decided upon 5 out of the 7 overarching goals within the Climate Action Plan to focus in on in fiscal year 27. So now the groups are dividing and conquering to focus in on the 10 strategies from the Climate Action Plan to focus on. And we're going to be updating quarterly. I will be developing a report, and then hopefully at some point be able to share the report with the Board of Directors. So a lot of really great work with the Climate Action Plan. Okay. So here is the breakdown, the overview of the goals, not only for Q4, but as it is the last quarter of the year, it really is a wrap up of fiscal year 26. So we have 8 completed organizational goals and 1 deferred, so 1 equals 11%. And then for divisional goals, we have 14 complete and 1 deferred. So those deferred goals are represented in the fiscal year 27 work plan. It's just because the work needed to be moved to the next fiscal year. Okay, so this slide represents the transition from fiscal year 26 to the new strategic work plan for fiscal year 27. So it might look a little bit familiar because we have our fiscal year 27 success outcomes. They're the same four success outcomes as an organization. Our goal is to reach that 84 for community value. We didn't in fiscal year 26, but our goal is to get up there for fiscal year 27. Our goal is to maintain or exceed our net promoter scores of 52 for fixed and lift for 51. For culture of ownership, our goal is to increase another 5 percentage points. Mind you, last year our goal was to increase by 5, we increased by 7. So this year our goal is to increase by 5 again, which would get us up to 76, a score of 76 for culture of ownership. And then our goal is to develop and implement policies and strategies that support long-term financial sustainability, and the goals in the fiscal year 27 work plan feed right up into that success outcome of financial sustainability. All right, so here are 9 organizational goals for fiscal year 27. We're going to be implementing as an organization the comprehensive operational analysis recommendations. We're going to be focusing on community and civic engagement, focus on bus stop accessibility and a vehicle technology roadmap. For culture of ownership, national incident management system and incident command system. Focus on strategic values and further implementation throughout the district. Tyler Munis ERP implementation. And for financial sustainability, fiscal policies and transit asset management roadmap. Okay, so in conclusion, I would just like to alert the board that our survey season is upon us for community value, customer satisfaction, and employee engagement. So those survey results will be coming to you in the next few months. Our community value survey launched earlier in August, and then our customer satisfaction launches on September 12th. That's the onboard interception survey for our riders. And then employee engagement survey launches on September 14th. I also had the opportunity to attend the TransDash National Summit in Washington, D.C. a few weeks ago, and you may or may not have been able to notice because they are translucent, but we have 2 awards up here that I was able to receive on behalf of Cherriots. So I would first like to say that we won 2 first-place awards. One is for most improved financial stability, and first place and most improved employee engagement. And they asked, industry leaders, they asked me to speak for a couple minutes on the work that Cherriots has been doing in regards to employee engagement, because increasing by 7 points is quite a bit in one fiscal year. We did not receive physical awards, but we also received 2nd place in our customer satisfaction score behind VIA. And then 3rd place, we received 2 awards, the first one being our employee engagement score. And we got 3rd place in most improved customer satisfaction as well. But I'm really pleased to be able to present these to the board with all of the amazing work the staff and the board does for our community and our customers. So I would love to take any questions if you have them. And then also, I would love to get a picture of the board with the awards after questions, if possible.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have questions? Director Carney?
Thank you, President. Thank you, President Hinojosa-Pressey. Not a question, but an observation. It is such, I have worked in state government for over a decade, and it is very refreshing, and I'm not saying this doesn't happen in state government, but to see a strategic plan in action, like acted upon, regularly reported upon, progress being made, reports back. Like, it is a living, evolving plan, and I just think that that is an incredible accomplishment. So thank you for stewarding it. Awards are great, but the work you are doing every day to engage the employees at this agency, and to move forward in your strategic initiatives is what's more important to me. So thank you so much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yes, Director Duncan.
I really just have a comment. I just really like the organizational goals that were chosen for next year. I really love that you've highlighted community and civic engagement, which is something that we've talked extensively about increasing, and I think we've done a good job increasing over the years, but I love knowing that that's going to be a concentration for this next year.
Yes.
And I mean, one of my pet projects is on here, which is bus stop accessibility, so I'm also really excited to see that. Overall, just great choices, and I'm really excited to hear more, so thank you.
Director Davidson?
Thank you, President Hinojosa. On those organizational goals, I'd love a better understanding of what some of them mean. I don't necessarily need that now, but I'd love to better understand what all is entailed in the vehicle technology roadmap and a couple other items, for example. So perhaps at a future time, I can also grill you now, but happy to defer, so, yeah.
I will definitely provide that information down the road. In our work plan, they are laid out with more explicit details of an overall description and specific strategies that will be accomplished throughout the year. I will share that with all of you.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I could send that out, Director Davidson, on a report, a quasi-weekly report. I don't want to commit to a weekly report at this point. So,
Sounds good.
To get the board the information. Thank you, Bobby.
Thanks.
Okay, so I think we can take a picture now. And honestly, I'm very glad that you pointed them out because I had no idea they were there. As far as I'm concerned, you just magic them.
Contact lenses.
Yeah.
They do look like a pair of
Just them and one with me, if that's okay. It was really fun getting those back from DC as well.
Can you see the award?
Okay, and then I'm going to do one with you guys.
You could just do it on your phone. Does that make it easier for you?
The influencers, where they hold a hand behind it, so the camera will focus on it.
Right. Okay, ready? Can we scoot this way like a little bit? Bobby? All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Awesome.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Well, now that pictures have been taken, I think we can move into our fiscal year 26 completed projects and fiscal 27 project highlight.
So thank you, President Hinojosa. I'd like to call up Melissa Kidd, our Senior Manager of Project and Contract Administration, and to recall Matt Marquez, our Grant and Project Administrator. So before they get started, I think it's just important to kind of set the scene. On an annual basis, the last couple of years, we've tried to come forward and talk about the projects that are being done that maybe you all don't know or you don't see, because if it doesn't cross the threshold, you probably don't see it, or you probably don't study word for word our capital investment plan. So we're very proud of the work that Melissa and her team and others throughout the organization, especially finance, has done with this. Lots of good work that you'll see. Moreover, Matt will talk a little bit about our strategic process with regard to how we go out for grants and what that looks like and how we fund a lot of these projects. So I'll turn it over to the team.
Good evening, President Hinojosa and members of the board. I am super delighted to be able to share about project updates for fiscal year 26, and then Matt will be sharing about our grant process thereafter. As interim deputy general manager did say, to kind of set the stage a little bit, some takeaways for tonight's presentation. Our goal is to provide a wider understanding of the district project work beyond the larger projects. There are a significant number of projects, purchases, and contracts for the district. along with a significant interdepartmental coordination necessary for project success. The majority of our project work is delivered on time and within budgets. And then finally, we have developed an intentional grant strategy to ensure we have an established process to support our ongoing needs. The goal of this slide is to provide the definitions of the categories of projects in order to provide context to what is meant by the word project, because it means a lot. Capital projects generally refers to long-term investments, construction, repairs, rebuilds, and upgrades of assets, such as security fence and the KTC gate projects. Operational projects generally refers to short-term activities, purchases, or services needed to run the business, such as software startup cost studies and the TSP project. Capital purchases generally refers to long-term investments for assets lasting multiple years, so building of facilities, large equipment, yard tugs, forklift purchases. For this presentation, we will not distinguish between the three categories of projects. When we say project, we mean all of the categories. With those definitions in mind, in total, 41 projects were completed in fiscal year 26. Here's a list of some of those completed projects, and shown on this slide. Next one. Yes, there it is. Shown on this slide are more completed projects. So the PMO team, in close partnership, in collaboration with several other key stakeholders, such as, I'm going to name them because they're very important, project advisors and sponsors, implementation team members, subject matter experts, budget and grant manager, our CFO and procurement teams, have worked diligently to complete these projects. I'd just like to take this moment to say a huge thank you to all of those critical contributors. The effort does not go unnoticed nor unappreciated. The completion of 41 projects is a huge win for our organization. However, more importantly, it is also a win for our writers and community. All right, the fun part, we get to do some highlights of completed projects for fiscal year 26. So the district acquired 21 new vehicles. 19 of these were replacements, 7 CNG-powered lift buses, and 12 beautiful battery electric buses for our local fleet. And then the remaining 2 were our right-size expansion vehicles added to support the local fleet. Then we have the first phase of the Transit Signal Priority Project along the Lancaster corridor. The planning team is now working with the City of Salem to review service data from early operations. Our break room spaces at our Del Webb facility were upgraded. The maintenance shop break room received a much needed, I cannot stress that enough, much needed new upgrade with tables, chairs, refrigerator, ice machine, and water fountain. Shown on this slide, the air compressor tank. I learned a lot this year about air compressor tanks, which holds the shop's compressed air, not only for inflating tires, but also used for all of our air tools, like overhead reels, pumps for fluids, and lift locks. The second picture is one of our new local right-sized expansion buses. The third picture is our BEB fall protection equipment, which allows up to 2 of our maintenance team members to safely work atop the buses by putting on the fall protection harness. And then our new BEB depot chargers at Del Webb, Electric Avenue is complete. There are a total of 20 depot chargers. So this slide shows in the upper left-hand corner our tablet and scheduling software. In the upper right-hand corner is our digital clock. And then we have our lower left, which shows the new electrical portal that actually comes out of the table. It goes back in and then comes back out. It's quite cool, which is installed in the top of the conference room tables to allow laptop charging during meetings. And then we also have our new glass whiteboard displays, which was a big improvement from what we've had in the past. Shown in this slide are two of our completed plans. As mentioned, our climate action plan was completed in September, and our shared micromobility feasibility study plan was completed in April. These pictures show the semi-seats that were installed last fiscal year, 25 to be exact. Semi-seats provide critical amenities for all of our riders. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about some change order. We see in the procurement team lots of contracts, and part of our team function includes developing and processing these change orders. Change orders are needed to extend into option years and maybe update a scope of work for a project. This list shows the completed change orders, which require time, coordination, and effort. All right, fiscal year 27 projects. We have a total of 29 carryover and new projects for fiscal year 27, which includes state of good repair projects such as our bus stop improvements, as previously mentioned, and our shop roof replacement projects. This is just a sampling of the fiscal year 27 projects that we will be working on. The Cherriots team is hard at work with a focused effort of moving these and other planned multi-year projects through contract, execution, and closeout. But for some fiscal year 27 highlights, our district website improvement. So an RFP was released July 1st, and responses are due September 1st. We're very excited about that new improvement. Our East Salem Transit Center site selection work kicked off in January, and the project team is currently conducting a fatal flaw analysis on a group of potential sites. Our fare box collection system replacement. All of the fare boxes are installed, and we are in the final steps of implementation. Kaiser Transit Center vehicle entry control. That is a mouthful. It is very important. All of the equipment has arrived, and we are scheduling the installation currently. The maintenance tracking system replacement. The software did go live in June, which is very exciting because we had a very, very old system in place before. The maintenance team is working with a vendor to resolve minor functionality issues that have been encountered as we inputted some inventory. And then finally, the South Salem Transit Center. Land was purchased in July, and site cleanup of the overgrown vegetation is scheduled to begin next Tuesday, September 1st. I will now pass the presentation over to Grant and Project Administrator Matt to present on the grant strategy and process.
Great. Thank you, Melissa, and good evening again, Madam President and members of the board. This part of the presentation is intended to shed some light on how projects move from initial idea to obtaining grant funding. Melissa just highlighted some projects that were completed last fiscal year, and I think a great place to start my side of the presentation is with where initial project ideas are generated. So if you're following along on the unfunded needs workflow on your screen, the blue oval in the upper left kicks off this process each fall where divisions submit their project ideas to the PMO during our annual CIP brainstorm. Division chiefs and managers will then review that list once it's developed a few months later when deciding which projects they would like to submit to the Capital Program Committee, or CPC, for funding consideration in the upcoming fiscal year. Any projects from that brainstorm list that weren't submitted to the CPC will fall down to the unfunded needs list, the red oval there at the bottom. Projects that were put forward to the CPC are considered by the committee and are either approved or denied funding for the upcoming fiscal year. Approved projects continue working their way through the process and make their way into the district's capital budget that you're familiar with approving in the spring, while unapproved projects fall down onto that unfunded needs list. So now that I've highlighted a little bit about where project ideas are generated from and how some of them make their way onto the unfunded needs list, we can talk about how those unfunded projects find their way into grant applications. So the unfunded needs list is a key tool for informing grant research. As I go out and research grant programs that are available from state and federal agencies, I try to identify links between unfunded projects and grant programs. I then take potential grant application ideas to a monthly meeting with the interim general manager and discuss the links between those projects and programs. And ultimately, the interim general manager makes a decision whether we will move forward with a grant application or not. If we decide not to move forward with a grant application, that project does remain on the unfunded needs list for future consideration as more grant programs open up. And if we are moving forward with a submission, I continue along the grant process and conduct a internal grant team kickoff where I engage internal stakeholders and get some details that are needed for the application. Then once that information has been gathered, I can actually write the application itself and gather supporting documentation to go along with the application package. And when that application package is complete on my end, I go ahead and pass it along to our budget and grants manager as well as the associated project advisor for their first review. Then when I get their feedback, I make adjustments to the application as needed, and then I advance the package to the interim general manager and CFO for a final review and their signature. And then once everything is signed off, the application is submitted by the budget and grants manager to the funding agency and hopefully results in a successful grant-funded project. So with that, we'd be happy to take any questions.
Director Carney.
Thank you, President Hinojosa-Pressey. Not a question, but again, well, actually one question, but I'll close with that. First, I wanted to say, in my experience, because once upon a time I worked here at Cherriots, those employees in your maintenance department can get by on anything. I mean, they could have made their outdated, tracking system work for the next 30 years if they needed to. And they would have lived in that break room probably until the end of time. So thank you for paying attention to that important group of employees, because we couldn't do it without them. And then my question is, in your presentation, which was excellent, thank you both, I heard passing mention of the yard tug, and at one point in the year earlier, I got really invested in coming up with names for the yard tug and the kind of like entering the competition, but I apparently lost interest after that because I don't know what the yard tug is named. Could you share that name?
May I just say that the yard tug has been delivered very excitingly and did experience some problems where we had to send it back, but it is back and it is great. And to be quite honest with you, I don't recall. Interim General Manager, do you recall the name of the yard tug?
So I don't recall that we've actually had the naming convention yet, and that's in part because it did have to go back once or twice.
It was leaking from the roof.
Because of some leaks. But I believe it is Chief Operations Officer Dietz, his desire to work with communications and marketing and actually have a naming campaign and perhaps some decals. I don't want to put words into your mouth, COO Dietz.
So it'll have a pun as a name?
We can separately share with the board the name and to be released publicly later, perhaps?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Director Duncan?
Just a very quick comment. I write grants a lot for my day job. It's a big part of what I do. So this was really fun to listen to what your guys' process is like. I love the idea of a grant kickoff meeting, and I might copy that. That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Director Davidson?
Thank you. For the grant process, the diamond on the grant workflow, on the second page of the grant workflow, so the deputy general manager decides whether to apply for the grant. I would love it if the deputy general manager could kind of talk us through that process of when and why you would or would not apply for a grant.
Sure. Thank you, Director Davidson. So the evaluation is pretty straightforward. We look at capacity. What is the capacity of the organization? What do we feel the success rate will be? And although it says the DGM, I do consult other folks. I'm not just kind of in a tower making those decisions. But it is about capacity. It is about what is the likelihood. It is about the notice of funding opportunity. What does that look like? How complicated is it? What is the pool of monies available? What are the colors of money? Whether it's a state grant, whether it's a federal grant. So we sort of look at all those things and make an evaluation. And then we go back to see, is this a safety-related issue? Is it a sure would be nice to have but don't necessarily need issue? So there's an evaluation that goes on. So there's a lot of thought that goes behind it. But those are some of the quick evaluation points.
Is one of the evaluation points, so I imagine like for one unfunded need, there are instances where you're applying over and over again to fill that unfunded need, and so you're perhaps able to reuse some of that language. Does that factor in as, oh, this won't be as much of a lift as it would be otherwise because we're able to recycle applications previously?
That is not so much a decision factor. It really is sort of the above mentioned. It's nice to be able to sort of copy and paste and plug and play grants, but that's not even necessarily a gauge that we would be successful. So, but certainly something that we consider a little bit.
Okay, great. And then I have a few questions about the projects. My first question is, an armored car. What did we do with an armored car?
Did I say armored car?
I think we're referring to the armored car services.
Great, thank you.
Oh,
Yes,
my
armored car
goodness.
We did not,
services.
Director Davidson, purchase an armored car.
Okay, I was very keen to hear what we were doing with an armored car.
That's to help with deposits.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay, that makes good sense then. Okay,
I was like, armored car, did I say?
well,
It is on there.
I'm a little, yeah, I mean, I'm relieved, I'm also a little disappointed, like, I wanted a good story, but that's great. And then the APC equipment, I know we have talked about this, and maybe this is a question for Chief Planning and Development Officer Woolazum, but we have APC equipment now, right? But we're getting new ones in fiscal year 27. Can you remind me why?
Yeah, and part of that is many of those will expire or have expired their useful life, past useful life, so
Okay.
it is time to replace them to get reliable information.
Got it. Okay. Wonderful. And then my last question is, so I noticed with the GenFair project, we got a credit back because we removed the UMO integration, but I didn't see on the fiscal year 27 any mention of I don't know what the business category is for UMO. I'm going to call it a transit wallet. I know it's not a transit wallet, but that, like a UMO contract redo or a replacement UMO. So is the thinking there that that's maybe a fiscal year 28, or we'll just continue on with a GenFair and a UMO reader for quite some time? Can you help me understand that?
So I could take that one. So right now, the UMO contract has about, when I last checked, about 14 more months on it. So we've had some cursory discussions about what we need to do. Is it going to be UMO going forward? Is it going to be something else going forward? Are we going to rely on farebox technology with adapters, perhaps? There are myriad things that we can do, but we have this contract now for 14 or 15 months. I'm not remembering exactly how long.
Okay.
So certainly in the next 2 or 3 months, we'll make some decisions about what to do with that contract.
Got it. Wonderful. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? No? Thank you very much both for your presentation. Okay, so I think that brings us to our general manager's report.
Okay, thank you, President Hinojosa-Pressey. I don't have a whole lot. So I'll start with some good news. The governor's list of appointments has been released, and Spencer's name has been featured prominently on that list and is slated for confirmation on September 8th, 2026.
Hallelujah.
So very happy about that. Once that confirmation has happened, staff will begin the onboarding process after consulting with President Hinojosa Pressey. So Kara will be reaching out to you. Okay. So the team talked a little bit about the South Salem Transit Center. There are some activities going on. So there will be we acquired a landscaping contractor. They will be going out and shaving some things down, moving some bushes around, and really hopefully making that place look a little bit better. We've certainly received some feedback from the neighborhood and the surrounding areas. So that work is scheduled to start on September 1st. So we'll start seeing some activities. It is not construction, but it is trash removal, vegetation removal, and things of that nature. And also working on a plan to deal with some of the campers that have taken up residence in those areas. Again, we're getting complaints from local residents about what's going on there. So looking very much forward to that. And you will have a future work session. We're going to be recalibrating cost and timelines for the actual construction of the project. So that'll be coming up very soon. The team and I will be meeting with our pivot partners and other partners to start working on that. The last cost estimate we have is a couple of years old, so you know how that works. I'm sure the prices have gone up quite a bit, so we'll recost that based on the different phases that we're going through right now. So all of that project information is available and updated on our website, cherriots.org, if anyone has an interest out there. So next, the board has in their packets action needed. There's an engagement document regarding the GM recruitment. So the clerk of the board will be reaching out to you for some dates, moving to the next phase of that recruitment. And all I'll say about that is earlier is better. So we'll work through the process, and she'll be making those touch points with all of you. On September 15th, which is a Tuesday, is the 17th Annual Hispanic Heritage Month and Breakfast Summit. So hopefully looking for some attendance. We do have some tickets left. Again, that's Tuesday, September 15th at the Convention Center, and it starts at 8:00 a.m. And last but certainly not least, I want to talk about the bus rodeo, which COO Dietz is very happy about, that will be resurrected. This is an event for employees and board members and their family and friends only. It's not a public event. This will be Sunday, September 27th, 2006. I don't remember the time. Tom, what was the time? 9 a.m. to 4. So just as a reminder, or for those who are not familiar, bus rodeos are great insofar as they allow operators and others to test their skills on a course that you would never see in real life, thank goodness. And it does inspire a little healthy competition amongst operators and others, so very happy about that. The winner of the rodeo will be sent to the international competition, which will be April 16th in Seattle. So it's an international. So
Drive on the left.
So that's further incentive for someone to try to win this thing. So it is a big deal. It is national, and it'll be in Seattle next year. So very happy about that. And last but not least, I would be remiss if I didn't remind some folks, the clerk of the board will be reaching out to a few board members for finalization of the CAC work plan. So she'll be sending that information out. President Hinojosa Pressey, that concludes my remarks.
Thank you very much. Okay, so on board committee assignments, I will say that the majority of our committee assignments are staying the same. The one change that I am making, though, is that I am removing Director Duncan from MWACT and assigning Director Navarro. Okay, and with that being said, now our Board of Directors report. I'm assuming that Director Holmstrom is still having audio issues, and
For the record, he said he has no report this month.
okay, wonderful. And Director Carney.
Thank you, President Hinojosa-Pressey. Well, earlier this week, the SCATS Policy Committee met on August 25th. I have it all written down here so that I don't forget too many of the elements. So, surprising us all, or at least me, the Policy Committee moved to add a single voting seat for the City of Almsville. And SCAT staff was directed to make no other changes to the voting structure, dismissing the long-standing question of adding a second seat for the City of Salem. Likewise dismissed were the ideas of having a rotating seat for smaller cities and using a facilitated process to lead a comprehensive discussion on fair and proportional representation in keeping with language in United States Code. You may remember that Salem holds 65% of the MPO population and greater than 65% of the roads within the MPO, but only represents 12.5% of the vote. And with the addition of the City of Almsville, that will be decreased to 11%. So in 2024, for those of you following along here and at home, the Policy Committee passed a motion to add Almsville and add a second seat for the City of Salem. And that was put on the shelf due to claims of inappropriate application of Robert's rules from Marion County, who further indicated that their commissioners would refuse to sign a cooperative agreement if amended as such. On August 24th, so the day before the SCATS Policy Committee, Chair Mordhorst, myself as Vice Chair, Interim Executive Director McCrae Carmichael, and SCAT staff Mike Jaffe and I got together in a meeting to discuss approaches for the agenda item the next day. And among the options that we were going to share with the committee was a facilitated approach to having this discussion about changing the cooperative agreement. But about 10 minutes before the meeting, according to SCAT staff, the chair said that he could no longer sort of move forward as he had agreed the day before, and that wouldn't be happening. And the meeting was very robust in-person attendance. And the usual City of Salem representative, Mai Vang, who at the previous meeting had expressed her support for an additional seat for the City of Salem, like Councilor Teichen before her and like Councilor Phillips before that, and in accordance with her conversation with Salem City staff, instead of Councilor Vang, Mayor Hoy was present. When the item was introduced, Commissioner Cameron moved quickly to bring forward a tabled motion from the meeting we had had the month prior that was not ever made. There was no tabled motion from the month prior. And then he recalled a different motion from 2024 that had been tabled that he could bring forward, and that motion was seconded. And then without procedural objection from staff, which the attorney for the COG was present, Commissioner Cameron moved to add a single voting seat for Almsville. The chair invited comments. I advocated for a comprehensive discussion aligned with federal requirements for equitable and proportional representation. The school board representative opposed the change due to insufficient process clarity and evidence that a change would improve committee process. And Mayor Hoy, who had earlier in the meeting indicated that she would be consulting with her full council to understand the City of Salem's position, was able to unilaterally make that decision and support a single seat for the City of Salem. The motion passed with dissent from Transit and the school board, and all the other voting members, including ODOT, voted in favor. And after the meeting, SCAT staff called me, which I thought was nice, and acknowledged that the meeting didn't go as they had hoped it would, and agreed that the outcome appeared premeditated. And I expressed my concern about the environment in the meetings and the process failures. Staff suggested that if I had offered an effective counterproposal, outcomes may have been different, and I disagree. I noted for staff that transit has a statutory requirement to be included on a metropolitan planning organization decision-making body, and that all other members are determined by population. I believe and I continue to believe that this process needs a transparent, facilitated process to review membership and voting structure. The transit district is the only MPO member required by federal law to be included on the committee. The rest of the members have to be representative of 75% of our MPO's population, but transit is required. So without transit, it would be difficult to have that decision-making group. End of report.
Thank you very much. Director Duncan.
I was there in 2024, so that was a hard report to listen to, because I remember everything you're talking about. And thank you very much for representing us and providing a very comprehensive report of what went down. I appreciate it. I look forward to having conversations in the future about what we will do. All right, I have a short report today on MWACT. I guess it'll be my last report on MWACT, which is totally fine. I really don't have much to give you guys. We really just ranked some projects that had come in. I'm very excited to say that everybody agreed that rail should be first, and then we had two other airport-related projects, one out of McMinnville and one out of Aurora, that were ranked second. We don't actually have a decision-making authority, or at least we didn't for this particular process. They just asked our opinion, basically. Similar with some projects from Cherriots. Thank you so much, Cherriots, for showing up. There was some confusion from some members of the committee if we were going for one grant or two grants, and so staff did a very good job making sure that everyone understood and repeating themselves as many times as necessary. I thank you all for your patience and your professionalism, and that concludes my report today.
Thank you very much. Director Davidson?
I'd love to maybe speak to Director Carney's report just ever so briefly. Robert's Rules of Order are important, and they are how we appear to be making decisions. Cornell University simplified Robert's Rules of Order very clearly states that if a motion is not taken up and acted upon within the same meeting, it is dead. So if to take up a motion from a year, let alone 2 years ago, is absolutely crazy. Like, particularly if we had previously screamed that we need to follow Robert's Rules of Order. Like, I do not use this lightly, but that is rank hypocrisy. And the last thing I'll say on this is that when the board needs to weigh in on this, I will not be supportive of signing on to the cooperative agreement, adding Almsville as a voting member, unless this changes. That was wildly inappropriate, out of line, and we have a veto. They have deliberately structured it so everybody gets a veto. If that's how we're going to operate it, I urge this board that we use this veto. So, pivoting ever so slightly, I'm excited about the South Salem Transit Center. I would love to maybe have a conversation with staff about the possibility of looking at a portion of that being set aside, or having initial conversations with the city of Salem for either affordable housing or their South Salem Library. Their safety and livability bonds specifically earmark money for those purposes. I know we have our own plans on what we should do with that land, and we absolutely should move forward with our own plans, but we should be mindful of how we situate things just to leave open the door of possibility. So I'm hoping that an early conversation with somebody at the city could avoid a regret later on. I've spoken with members of the public who serve on the city's bond advisory committee, and there is interest in partnering in this way. I think it would be mutually beneficial. So I'll just put that bug in someone's ear. Happy to talk more afterwards. And then lastly, another thing I've heard quite loudly from members of the public is the lack of secure bike parking here at the Downtown Transit Center. As I was walking by today, Hatfield Plaza, I was thinking that that plaza is underutilized and that there is an opportunity to stick secure bike parking there. And my recollection of the Courthouse Square agreement and how things are divvied up is that Cherriots unilaterally has control of that area. And if that is true, I would love for us to pursue secure bike parking there. There's a lot of ready-made solutions off the shelf that we could buy relatively cheap, and I would be more than supportive of that. And I also don't think it would exceed any weight limits, though be happy to find out that afterwards, after that weight study happens. So that concludes, I suppose it's not a report, it's a rant, and that concludes my rant.
Thank you very much. It is 6:41, and we are adjourned. Have a great night.